just concentrate on what you're doing, whether it's for or against. Now, we haven't talked about artificial intelligence yet. We're coming on to it. We haven't talked about stakeholding. We haven't talked about stakeholding yet.
Yeah, sign. Sign what? Sign in, register.
Done it.
Attendance.
Everybody done it? Yeah. Good. So, the next thing you've got to sort out, you don't necessarily have to tell me, but you should tell the other side as to what the chosen industry is, okay? Now, it may be that you're all different, but you're doing international business, but if you choose perhaps, not certainly one, but you can choose a couple, because the major debate is about artificial intelligence and hearts and minds. It's not so much about the industry. The industry is there to add colour and flavour and allow you to find some facts and figures related to the industry. So, are we listening? Next thing is to find the one industry or couple of industries you're having to talk about. Right, now the next bit, because we have been through this before, but you do keep asking the same old question. Because you don't
Case studies. Like, give an example.
But look, you've got 6 or 7 minutes. So,
Watch some debates.
which
It will give you an idea.
isn't a huge amount of time. However, bear in mind, guys, bear in mind, when you watch the news programs, often experts are interviewed. If it's the 10 o'clock news in the UK, I think the average time is something like 12 seconds you get. There'll just be one little sound bite. It's not as much as you think. So you've got to, the art of this is getting a lot of really good points across very quickly. So the question was, can you do a case study? Well, yes, of course you can speak about any company at all. But you've only got a few minutes to do it, so don't go into a long historical diatribe about this company and what it's doing, because you're just eating up lots of time and the others will get bored. And you're not making necessarily telling points. So it's going to be very punchy. Yeah. What you say is entirely up to you. Of course, if you've got facts and figures, it always supports what you're saying. I would like the facts and figures to be honest, like a certain president who just makes stuff up all the time.
Okay.
Yesterday, I think he was saying that 50 million Russians died in the Second World War, and the consensus is maybe 20 to 25 million, but he's done double it, and I think there's something like, they do this fact check, and I think there's been 1,500 times that he has told an untruth, he has given false information. He used to call it lying, but as he's the president, sort of suggests that there are different facts to refer to, like untrue ones, otherwise it's lies. So case studies are good, data's good. You want to show off. You are intellectuals. You have been reading widely. So if a professor at Harvard University states something, you might want a pithy little quote. It adds strength to your argument if somebody from academia who's been researching this area has something to say. But this is a fast-moving area of discussion which almost changes by the month. And therefore, the journalists that you're facing. But again, hopefully not from the Sun, Star, in this country, but if it's from the Financial Times or the Wall Street Journal, maybe it carries a little bit more weight. Maybe you want to quote leaders of industry. So, if you are quoting Bill Gates, it carries rather more weight than if you're quoting me.
For example, the last video we watched with the woman that spoke about how she gave up her job after having to sack the team.
Yeah.
Could you use that as an example as well?
I think TED Talks are brilliant.
Yes,
and have excellent information. And usually they are persons of note. They have done something interesting, unusual, extraordinary. They are leaders of communities, leaders of organisations, leaders of countries. So all of that adds weight to what you're saying. Just because you say something, gentlemen, unless you want to take the lecture, you're very welcome to. And I'll sit and chatter up. Change roles.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Right. So, the actual debate itself, some of you say you're a little bit worried about it. You haven't got much time. So, two people will introduce, maybe four. So you have two people speaking a couple of minutes each, just outlining their position, and then two people against. Sometimes I switch it around on the day, so it might be four against, but you each got a couple of minutes to start off your position. So, yeah, I'm going to sit there with the stopwatch. I'm sort of the maestro, making sure that everybody has the opportunity to say as much as they can in the time available. So, I'm only going to be, if somebody hasn't said anything, I'll create some space. I need to hear from. Or if somebody won't shut up, then it may be that I'll have to say, Maureen, shut up, and let others speak. So that's the role that I play. So you've got a couple of minutes to set the scene, start your set of arguments. Then we've got the middle bit. So we've the middle bit, which is it's a discussion, it's a debate, it's a free exchange of ideas. Well, that's what I'm calling the middle. It's like a sandwich. We have an introduction, we have a middle bit, and we have an end. So we have a conclusion, which at the end I will again ask people for their concluding thoughts. Now, don't worry about these 3 minutes and 10 minutes and all of these things, because I don't think they really add up to anything which is meaningful. But I'm thinking 4 times 2, that's sort of 8 to 10 minutes as an introduction, 8 to 10 minutes as a conclusion, and a good 10 to 15 minutes in the middle.
How do you control that? Sorry. No, first
Go on, darling David.
How do you control the time of the speech of each one? Because maybe someone like to speak a lot. For example, I don't know.
Maureen, again.
Maybe she speak, or you speak a lot.
David.
No, I know, but
Exactly so. So sometimes,
but some people don't.
might speak for 90 seconds, but it's very on point, powerful, interesting,
And if you don't agree, I'll punch your
humorous, and it's a really good 90 seconds. Other people might drone on for 3 or 4 minutes, and I may then have to stop them.
You need one hammer this day.
Yeah, but it's not so much about time, it's more about quality.
Content.
And content. So, it's the essence is getting your point across with flourish, with flair, with humour, but profound thought. And I tell you what's often really important is when you get to that discussion bit, the person who interjects perhaps with a question who's the other side finds in answering. So it might be just a single sentence, but very telling.
So you can talk in sense in 1 minute 20 seconds. That's fine.
Your biggest problem will be is, frankly, most of you talk too much. You're too wordy, and you're not able to summarise the essence of what you have to say in 2 minutes. Yeah. So we have the meaty bit in the middle, which can go in any direction. That's why I say you know, it's good if you have a focus. Like, take your points, good points about having one you know, sector we're looking at, one industry.
No, what I mean is, you know, he said 2 minutes for each student.
Yes.
Now, if I do 1 minute 20 seconds, and it's
I
good,
was all going to be there with this.
The timing is important. It's the quality of the
I
content.
think it's better than doing 2 minutes and talking rubbish.
Yeah, and it's also the respect for your colleagues because they're going to be out of time.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's a fair point. So if somebody's going over, that's where I will step in. Thank you for your contribution.
I think we should have a timer so whoever, Sir John, I think there should be a timer so whoever is debating can see the time to give allowance consideration for your
Like chess players, yeah?
exactly.
I think debates are a little bit free form. They're open, they're discursive. If you don't make interventions, if you don't have anything to say other than just, I don't want you reading stuff. You can take some notes in.
Yeah.
You know, if you want a nice quote, if you want some data. But as soon as you look down and start reading, it changes everything. If you think about the newsreader, you can tell sometimes when they've lost the helicopter and they look down. At that moment, they lost that connection.
Well, how do you know? How do you know if I've spent 2 minutes? Since you are not going to hold this up.
He has watch.
If it's 1 minute 30 or if it's 2 minutes 30, I'm quite relaxed about it. It's much more about the quality rather than how many. It's not some sort of game show where you've got a minute to answer all the questions. You know, it's not.
Yeah, but the problem is, how do you know you've spent 2 minutes? Or you've not spent 2 minutes? That's what I mean.
Well,
Use your own timers.
He had one allowed.
Be reasonable.
practice, and have a stopwatch and see what 2 minutes looks like.
Have you ever had faith?
I think we sort of know what 2 minutes is. No, so, no, look, there are 16 of these. Do you think I could possibly get you to sit through 15 other presentations? Get you to remain silent and concentrated? It's a lovely idea that you learn from other people, but it doesn't work. So it's purely in front of me. And there are so many of you,
Homework.
Bogus students, I think already we've got 15 to 16 groups. Well, think about it. If it is half an hour, that's sort of 8 hours. I think that's a little bit too much. I'm getting a bit cross-eyed. 8 hours of the presentation. Also, we've got to get people in, people out. We've got to get it recorded. I'm beginning to feel that maybe perhaps get them all in on the same day, but that's what I am. Yes.
And so, no. Go ahead.
So no, it's purely for me. Purely for me. So one group comes in, 2 on 2, 30 minutes, job done.
20 minutes.
Well,
30.
30 minutes?
Yeah.
Quicker you can convince somebody, quicker you're going to get out of the door.
But there's 4 of you.
Thank you.
30 minutos, los cuatro. 30.
9.
Right.
O, no, ha dicho 7. 7 each.
So are we
7
reasonably
minutes
happy?
each.
And then at the end, there's an
7 minutes
opportunity
each.
for you to conclude. Now, part of that conclusion you might have worked out previously, but hopefully part of the conclusion emanates from the discussion that you have had. You'll be referring to what you've heard. I'll tell you where you go wrong. Is you're so worried about this, your introduction you've sort of learnt, the middle bit there is some sort of discussion, and then the end that you've learnt, and you're not listening to what people are saying to you. You're so concerned about what you have to say that you're not listening to the other people. The art of debate is to listen to the other people and to respond to what they're saying. The idea is for you to persuade that the merits of your case are stronger than the merits of their case. That you have a better appreciation, understanding, a vision for where this debate is going than those people who are perhaps opposing what you're saying. Or if it's the other way around, you're against it, you're outlining all the worries, concerns, impediments that are likely to arise from the introduction. So I think it's very much on the day. Why do we do this? Do we do it just to make MBA students feel a little uncomfortable and to take them and to waste time? No, we do it because
You face a real life situation.
yes, because as senior managers in organisations, what do? You go to meetings and you defend a case which you may or may not believe in because you're paid to often present a case.
So a little realistic scenario.
And you listen to the counter arguments and you try and come to a conciliatory conclusion. So I think it's all a matter of persuasion. That word charm, which I think it's like you charm the other side of the merits of your case. I think shouting at somebody is counterproductive. I think wagging your finger at somebody is counterproductive. If you go in with an objective, I'm going to win, you're going to lose, I think that's counterproductive in business. You're often looking for commonality, a greater appreciation of understanding, a respect for your audience. That was a very good point that you made, Maureen. Fortunately, and you point out some of the weaknesses. So it's those skills that we're looking for. Going into a catatonic silence is not managerial behaviour, nor being aggressive. So it's the art of persuasion.
Okay. In this debate, we have 4 people.
Yes.
No? Each student will present their initial argument.
Yes.
Everybody need to do initial argument?
2 for?
Maybe.
2 against. But I think the 2 who are working together.
Only one.
No, you both have the. Because I wanted to hear you both speaking. So.
Yes, I just will take more than 30 minutes.
No, but you got 2 minutes each.
Because she have the same industry like me. She choose if she.
You divide your strong ideas between the 2 of you.
Ah, I'm
Yeah, I
listening.
think he's asking
So you've
I'm
got
listening,
2
I'm
minutes each.
if they choose something, can just one of them speak instead of 2? That's what he's
Listening,
asking,
I'm
right?
listening.
How do I want the other person they're not speaking?
Because it's too.
You want the don't you want the opportunity to present your ideas? The opportunities to show that you are a active manager.
No, they're all going to present their ideas. What he's trying to say is that, for example, Iju and I in one group, right? And if I take the first introduction, is Iju going to do another introduction?
No. Yes, this is my question. Yeah.
Continue what the first
Exactly.
one is
That's
saying,
what she's
because you are a
That's
team.
what she's trying to say,
Read
but
it.
he's not getting it.
Each student will present their initial argument, so each student should have their own argument. Why pro or why against?
No, you don't still.
You have your own idea why it should be pro.
No.
Another idea
The
why
initial.
Maureen,
The initial argument. The initial.
This is already a debate. We are already in the
Good debate, no?
presentation. Can we jump the presentation, go the grade?
What she was trying to ask, that he didn't understand, or he, was that since if Iju and I are in the same group, yes, who is the first person to take the introduction? So myself and Iju were in a group, right? Iju now introduces us as a group. Do I now come in again to come and introduce Iju and I as a group again, or move on? That's what we're trying to say.
Exactly.
That's what we're trying to answer. Because of
I
the
think we have a very
timing.
good riposte, which is
so Nobody's
Why
saying.
not to explain?
Maureen,
I think you heard a very good report.
can I have 2 seconds?
Yes, please, darling.
So, you are a team, okay? Basically, what you're doing, each of you are going to choose your best points. Guys, sorry, but I didn't disrespect you when you were talking. So, each of you are going to present the best points that you can bring to show that either you're pro or you're against. When you open your speech, you're not going to say, hello, my name is Maureen and I'm a part of this team and my friend is Larissa. And when Larissa is going to speak, oh, hello, my name is Larissa, my friend is Maureen.
Exactly.
You're not going to do that.
Exactly.
Okay, because you're working as a team. So the first one will say, we're the team that we're presenting the pro arguments. My first idea is this. And then when your colleagues comes in and says, in addition to what my colleague said, I'm going to bring the second argument. But that is my opening. So basically, what you can do is, it doesn't matter who's going to be first. You need to cover the same thing, but do not repeat yourself.
Thank you. So
I'm
that brings me there. That this.
Wait.
This is wrong.
Stop it.
This is wrong. This here is wrong.
No.
Because if we don't talk about it properly, then there's going to be a problem in the middle of the whole thing. To absolute confusion. Because then you come to the debate thing and you now carry out what we have discussed here. And then we find out that, oh, wait a minute, that's not how to do it.
Look, I did
You
this
need to find the topic,
last
basically.
trimester.
No, she's not talking about the topic.
And
The
it's
introduction.
fine.
The introduction,
Yeah.
No, I have a topic. Let's say I have a topic, he has a
Do you
topic.
understand? It's confusing.
And then we debate against this topic, for example.
That's what I was trying to say. And do we have to
Like you can talk about.
But you understand my question, no?
Like I can talk about shortage stuff, for example, and you can talk about empathy of the people, for example.
And you have your own topic,
Right.
You're talking about the same thing.
Guys.
So you have your own views.
Exactly.
You have your own views. Yeah, I understand.
Exactly.
To do because we are doing
Okay.
Yes.
It's my job to go through these slides. So, let's have a little half hour.
Okay.
Concentration.
When I finish, you just continue. And when I finish, I'll continue.
Look, we've got the next 5.
Good question.
So what books to read? This is such a fast-changing area. I think if you're reading a book, that would have taken 18 months to be longer to write and publish. It's already way out of date. I think this is Google's your best friend. I think journalists are covering this on a minute-by-minute basis. Everybody's making a contribution. It's a fast-moving discussion and debate. So I think it's. Look. There's a massive stuff on social media, on Google, on YouTube. You're not sure of information. Everybody's got an opinion about AI, and nobody's quite sure what's going to happen, what the impact is going to be. But later on, we'll have if you're sort of interested, we'll have a little discussion about NVIDIA and Jason Wang. This is amazing. NVIDIA, in the last 18 months, I think has put on $2 trillion onto its capitalization. This is a company that has gone from being in the top 100 companies in the United States to being the number 1 last week, valuation of nearly $3 trillion. No company ever has gone from a few hundred million to 2 trillion in 18 months. This is extraordinary. There is something extraordinary bound to happen. That's what the discussion is. So I think it's much more about journalism. But I'll find a few interesting things. Now, the background, of course, is what's the impact going to be on human capital? What's the impact going to be on you looking for jobs? So you can go off in different directions and discuss different things. So sometimes the soft elements are really quite interesting. So on the second part of the slides, which I've been asked to look at, I think it's quite interesting for you. And it's suggesting that different groups of people have different attitudes to work and what their expectation of work should be. So we should have a look at this, and you can tell me what you think. So we've got the baby boomers, we've got Generation X, we've got the millennials, we've got Generation Z, and we've got the Alpha Gens, also known as the Gen born from 2011. So I guess some of you may be Generation X.
Maybe.
What?
Maybe generation.
Maybe I'm alpha.
Millennium.
Age 29 to 40. And then some of you are Generation Z. So the sociologists say we're different. We have different expectations. Now, some of this stuff I'm not so sure of that. Well, the traditionalists that were born 1923 to 1955, those are your grandparents, they're probably dead. You don't have to worry too much about them. But for them, it was recognition and respect for experience. So if you were old, some of you come from cultures which venerate the old. I lived in a culture which regards old people as foolish. The phrase is silly old fool. By definition, if you're old, you're geriatric, you're behind the times, you don't understand what's going on. I think I would challenge that. I would say that there's quite a lot of evidence that the people who use the internet the most are silver surfers. People who are retired and well educated, they are very au fait with what's going on. But anyway, you don't have to worry about the traditionalists because they are really very young today. Baby boomers. So this was the post-war generation. Some people have said that they were the lucky generation, or like me. So my education was free. I spent 6 years at university, and I left with 60 pounds. Today it's probably about 400. And my education cost nothing. But only 60% of people went to university. So that's a very different situation today, where here in the UK, 50%. Not only that, we could buy houses 3 times your salary. Salary was 11,000. I bought a 3-bedroom townhouse, brand new garage in Lewisham at because it was 32,000. That house today is 650,000. I think a first-year teacher might earn 32,000. So that's 20 times, not 3 times. That's 20 times salary. So clearly we've seen an enormous increase in property prices in most major cities around the world. Why have property prices increased? Expert business students. Partly you're right, supply and demand, population of London is growing after a period of its decreasing. But the real reason, cheap money. You perhaps don't realise you have just lived through an amazing period of a dozen years where money's been almost free. How much do you pay for interest in a bank account a couple of years ago? But you were lucky if you were getting 0.5% interest on your money. So if you're getting nothing for your money in a bank account, what do you do with it? You invest. What do you invest in? In property. If everybody's investing in property, what happens to property prices? They go up extraordinarily. So property prices, property prices but mainly cheap money. I think London property prices haven't increased since probably 2017, which have been pretty flat. Because property prices are beyond average salaries. The average salary in London is 38,000. 3 times that, 20, what can you buy? Nothing. Garage, maybe. That's problem. So we've gone through a period of full employment, by and large. Deindustrialization, so if you were in one of the industries, manufacturing, that was a problem. But here in the southeast, if you were working in an administrative role, working in banking and finance, then they've probably done very well as baby boomers. So, baby boomers are the new rich kids on the block. They've got all the money. And one of the things that's happening in our society is that those people that own property suddenly have become reasonably well off. Average price of a home in London is what? A very ordinary house might be £500,000 or £600,000. So if your parents own a home, have a very ordinary job, then there is a very nice amount of money which they pass on to their children. So children might be inheriting £250,000, not unusual. But if your parents are living in rented accommodation or social housing, then to get that. So I think there's increasing stretch between the middle classes and the one of the same phenomena in the United States, regional phenomena. Parts of America doing much better than others. Middle classes doing very, very well in the United States. And that meant the working classes have done so well, and surprisingly they voted Trump. So Trump is a Republican, traditionally right of centre. Trump. So those are the baby boomers. Do you know any baby boomers? Your parents?
Yeah.
That's a really interesting figure. That's a good thing. I'd sort of say, what would make you plus? Well, 50k upwards, maybe, lower end. As you know, I'm running this house up in Greenwich, and the joiner, it's rough. He told me 60,000 last year. So the tradespeople are earning, good.
Everyone is building houses.
Yeah. So these guys out here, I would imagine, for 20 hours they pretty Like the updated, of course, one of the problems is that many people in the industry working for ports of Dagenham used to be a well-paid job. It's a factory. Now they're working at a warehouse. So if you're unskilled, you're vulnerable in this society. But I'm updated. 50,000 plus, maybe. The other factor is society has changed, so we're not talking about dually families. Baby boomers, it used to be that men went out to work and women stayed at home having children. Have children. And families stayed together, divorce rate is quite low. So that's been a big change. Today, all women expect to work all of your lives, don't you? Don't expect to stay at home and have children. Do have children, you have fewer of them, and you have very short maternity rates before you return back to before you went back to work. Think about when I was a child, I can't really remember many of the mothers working. And if they did work, they worked in low-paid jobs, service jobs, part-time. Not so many professional, whereas today much greater. So we can say more. So I think what baby boomers wanted, they like security. They could join a company and they would know that they probably work there for 30 years. At the end of it, they would get a very nice pension. And, that was the deal. We trust the company, we believe in the company, and the company will look after us. Rather than the traditional values. It's changed. Generation X. So one of these much more flexible. Your value for your contribution. Maybe that you have a number of jobs. Maybe that you want to work for the smallest companies. Clearly, many organisations that are beginning to fail with deindustrialisation. So in America, Steel, General Motors, were not General Electric, and that we're beginning to much greater flexibility and choice and change, and they work for a number of years. They even work abroad. So perhaps a little bit more dynamic. Women entering the workforce en masse. Women doing well in education, taking senior positions. So everything's beginning to change. Having fewer children. Better educated you are, fewer children you have. People who do masters, women masters or PhD often have no children at all. Probably 20-25% of British people now are not having children. Most of them, well, maybe 10% who find it difficult to get pregnant. I'm talking about that sort of 25% decide they don't want family, which previously was sort of a minority, like me.
Did you consciously design that, or it just happened?
I think a little bit of both. I'm delighted it happened. Yeah. So what are we on now? Oh, Generation Y. Who are the Generation Y? Birthday between 81 and 2000.
Maybe me.
This is you. You want to be challenged.
Maybe John, maybe me.
You want to be respected.
Maybe.
You want your independence. You expect to learn throughout your life. A bit more about networking. Maybe become professional. You're an accountant, an attorney, you're a surveyor, you're a business person. And therefore you'll work in a number of organisations. Maybe a large organisation, maybe a startup organisation. Yeah, learn from others. It's much more about you. It's much more about me. What makes me happy. So, flexible schedules. You might want to take time off, come back. You might want to work part-time. Yeah, well, we haven't quite got to that yet. I think that's the next one. You want relaxed and informal workspaces. And you continue to work throughout your life. And you're very good examples of this. You are midlife, and you have come to upgrade your qualifications, reboot, re-energize, re-enthuse, or you launch the next part of your life's career. Is this true? You will feel reinforced and rejuvenated. Some of you would take your own version of claps.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
So that's Generation Y, millennials.
I think it's just energy.
It's the afternoon. Everyone is like,
And
So
after
if you are dynamic, 40-hour-a-day MBAs, Masters of the Universe. Here's a Generation C, much more entrepreneurial, multitasking. Look, you can take all of this with a bit of a pinch of salt, and you could be quite critical of it. But maybe there are some differences. Well, you tell me. Here's an interesting one. A switch back to stability. Perhaps there's been too much change, and so you're getting a bit nervous about it. Maybe the idea of a little more security, having a pension, having a secure job, having a career structure is more important to you. I believe that we're all leaders now. Leadership is not something just in the corner office on the fourth floor. Leadership is not so hierarchical. We're all leaders of our teams. Technologically reliant, not sure about work-life balance. That's one issue about work-life balance. Maybe in the past, other generations have been rather workaholics. Maybe you have parents who have been workaholics. They had no time for you because they were following their professional careers. There was a lot of talk 25 years ago about us moving into an area where we would work less. John Maynard Keynes wrote a famous article back in the 1940s. And he said by 2030, biggest problem for people will be what do they do with all of their leisure, because they will not be required to do any work. Because 100 years ago, he was almost foreseeing artificial intelligence, and we would have clever machines do your work. When I talk to fellow professionals, whatever they're doing, most of them say they're working harder than they've ever worked before. They're working longer hours, they're under more stress. One of the reasons they're more stressed is because they all have that thing in your hand. And everybody's emailing everybody about something or other. And here's a weird thing. Productivity has been shockingly poor, certainly in the UK, but in other societies as well. We can communicate all the time. We have you have more computing power in your laptop than NASA had when they sent somebody to Neil Armstrong to the moon in 1969. And yet our productivity is lower almost than it's ever been. And it's a conundrum. Nobody really knows why. And I think it's because you spend all your time communicating.
Graphic designer.
You spend all your time as well on social networks and maybe not producing as much. And most jobs now, there's a lot more documentation, a lot more regulation. Even my role as a lecturer, there are a lot more forms to fill out. Courses that have to be accredited. There's a lot more stuff in the background, which frankly wasn't done previously. I think in part it improves your education, but sometimes I wonder whether that is actually. That remains a little bit of fun. But you tell me, what do you think are the big? Because this is the background to a discussion about AI. What's happening to society? And what will AI mean? What's it mean for society in the future? And there's a little bit of a for and against, optimist and pessimist. Is it a bright future where we are richer, we have more leisure, we are a happier society, we have more interests and challenges in our life? Or are we entering a rather dark world? Where in actual fact, we work harder, there are winners and losers. I think for my money, that's one of the things I think is happening. If you have high-level skills, you can do very well on income, which is often talked about because it's measurable. Income doesn't equate to happiness. All the research on this suggests that here in the UK, it's about 75, 80,000 people who are earning 80,000 are happier than those people who are earning 20,000. I get it. But the people who are earning 160,000 aren't necessarily that much happier or happier at all than the person earning 80,000. There's a law of diminishing returns. We know this, don't we? Are the billionaires that are written about all the time, are they happy people? Does Elon Musk seem a happy chap to you? Or is he a conflicted and increasingly disturbed individual?
He's got Asperger's as well, so.
And he's got Asperger's. So, but you sort of take my point. One of the problems of being wealthy is what do you do with it? One of the problems of being wealthy is how do your immediate members of your family respond to that? Because we know that some of them don't respond to it very well. The parents have done very well, but the children are sniffing nitrous oxide and taking say drugs, getting themselves into all sorts of difficulties because they've got nothing to strive for, because everything is taken, everything is provided for. There's quite a lot of Middle Eastern students, Qataris. My general view, the ones that I met, were not happy people. They spend most of their time in rather smart apartments in the West End with the curtains drawn, on PlayStation or watching movies and smoking lots of marijuana. But they didn't come out very often and they didn't seem very happy. Whereas the local students who were working hard as of the evening, they seemed really happy. They had some purpose to live for. Life is complicated, isn't it? So looking to the future, I think a little bit of a background is this social environment and generational change. What is it doing to you? And what will it do to the next generation? Is it going to be the case that we can go to the 30-hour week, 4-day week, 3-day week? Is it going to mean that there will be winners in artificial intelligence who have the skills, but lots of people will be without work? Some people suggest that 40% of people working in Canary Wharf within a short period of time will be service to requirements. Is that going to cause real conflict within society? And I think, I keep going back to Trump, but I think you can see it in the United States of America. I was in Memphis, and everybody said Memphis is America. I drove out of Memphis. I've never seen in a Western country so much wealth. The homes were unbelievable. So Middle Eastern style, unbelievably wonderful homes in this middle of America city. So many people have proved extraordinary well. But on the other hand, you go to the local diner, there is somebody working in the evening, 4-hour shifts, but they've already done an 8-hour shift during the day. There are lots of people who America, maybe the first generation of Americans who are not children of immigrants. Parts of America, there's real poverty, no access to healthcare. The Appalachians, there was a charity that provided free dental care. So they set up shop and said, anybody who have teeth like Tom Cruise, see us. Something like 3,500 people. So all of a sudden you realise that there are lots of people in America who cannot afford basic so America's a bit misleading. Part of it is that technological change, and it's true for all countries. How do they manage that technological change? How do they make sure that most people are beneficiaries of it? I think when I first came to London, I don't remember homelessness. I lived in a town, Blackburn in Lancashire, 30,000 people. There was one trap. And we had a bit of an alcohol problem, I guess. But there was one, 130,000. Today, homelessness is a real problem. So, it's a real underbelly thing. 20% of kids, it's suggested, are not receiving some diet
with Canva?
necessary for a healthy life. The government last week announced another offering places for free lunches for people at schools. Breakfast clubs are becoming more popular. Function of two things. One is parents who say they can't afford to have children and feed them, which I find a bit hard to understand. And the other is that the parents are having to go to work really early. Both parents are working. They need to upload their kids 8 o'clock in the morning. School's open. So I think there's lots of cases for it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think in this discussion and debate, you can personalise it.
Yeah.
You can reflect. One thing you haven't picked up on, it doesn't say the UK, does it? So there is this cross-cultural element as well. How is AI and robotics going to impact on other parts of the world and other societies? You are nice representatives of the cross-section of British people, Londoners to today. And it may be that part of it depends a little bit on your background, your age group, your demographics, as to whether you are feeling excited by AI or whether you feel that AI is going to be yet another problem for you. Does any of that make sense? So we've got so many things to talk about. It's really, really interesting. Now, what's the real benefit for you? Well, for most of you, given your age, what you're doing now, given your experience, I would have thought that so many of you are at a cusp in your life. What are you going to do over the next decades? And if you position yourself in areas of growth, if you have skills which are going to be required in that, those skills, soft skills, technical skills, I would still argue that on planet Earth there are few places better than London to be in. And your age, with good health, being in London, with a newly minted MBA, you have lots of aces, second class, and you should be thinking about how you
Have master students here as well.
Yeah, look, there are so few master students in the UK. I said to you before, most of the people taking master's degrees are basically international students. Most of the students are Chinese. And most of them would like some work experience here, but most of them are not thinking of spending all their lives. But they're going to be leaving. So there is a deficit of people with not guarantee a job, but certainly you should begin to use. Maybe you can get a job. So that's the important hurdle. And it's what you do in the interview which is really important. So although this is a little exercise, thinking about the future, it's an exercise about you thinking about your future, where you would like to position yourself. And it's going to be one of the big decisions in your life, what you do next. And talking to some of you, I feel some of you are a bit passive. I'll sort of see what happens. I hope something turns out. I think you can be much more actively involved. It does mean you're going to have to make decisions. You know, what are you going to do? What skills are required for success in that area? and how am I going to present myself? But all the bets are off. It's a new world. Artificial intelligence is going to change everything. You need to be prepared for it. Here enters my son. So, you've only got to talk for 7 minutes, yeah? So you should have lots and lots of interesting things to say. Now, how do you get a great mark? Tell me something I don't know. Tell me something that's interesting. Tell me something about your experiences. Tell me something about your part of the world. Charm me. Make it funny. Convince me. Make it interesting. Don't just read words on some paper that you think.
Sometimes.
Think about the issues.
How do you know from the internet?
Well, I think everything needs that today is to reach that.
I think
I can tell.
from a read in the class. I don't necessarily
ChatGPT.
Well,
To find
So
some
if it's
friends from
experience, then of course not.
I
Share
showed
real
you
life example that's not yours, obviously. You derive that from the internet.
use artificial intelligence and ask it questions, and you will get immediate responses within seconds. It's extraordinary. Put that question into Perplexity, and you will start getting some suggestions. Well, there you go. And then I think what some of you are frightened of.
No, I'm looking for my
frightened of
designs, but I don't find.
thinking. You're frightened of your contribution. You're always looking for somebody else's contribution. Why should any organisation pay you huge sums of money, which is possibly what people want, if you can get it from the internet, if it's from artificial intelligence? They want your thoughts, your contributions, your ideas. Frankly, at this stage, even if they're wrong, I prefer your ideas rather than just copying somebody else's ideas. So, personalise it. Give me some interesting case studies, examples. I'm just saying be informed. Because it's important. And it's an opportunity for you to shape your lives rather than external forces shaping them for you. And you've taken this brave step to take time off work hard on your studies, spend all this money. Surely you want, in most cases, some very definite benefits from this experience. Yeah? You want to turn this into something good. Yeah?
So, an example would it be like work experience, what you have done, just like how they interview for you go through job interview. So what have you done? Give me a scenario of what you've done at work as a leader.
Okay, I think this is about AI and robotics. At a very basic level, you might be saying,
Robotics is cool, AI is wrong.
well,
I mean,
it's
human is wrong, AI is cool.
but you might just take that simple point. AI is going to do a lot of the team mundane work that employ lots and lots of people. So organisations can be much more efficient, much more effective, much higher level of productivity, and money is going to the economy. Or you can take the view that it's going to be devastating. We're going to be like deindustrialisation plus. But millions of people are going to lose their job. The rest of society will have to pick up the social costs for that. So it's going to be very expensive. And therefore it's going to be a really good thing. Robotics, are they going to take over lots of mundane jobs? So an Amazon warehouse will have few workers, even fewer than they have already, because everything will be robotized. Well, I can see that already. But On the other hand, so much of what we need today, cooking in a restaurant or healthcare, I don't see a robot actually making omelets anytime soon. I don't see a robot holding the hand of terminal ill patients with care and support of dying. That's what you need. I don't think the robots is going to quite cut it. So there are lots of jobs where AI and robotics are not going to work. And so, these futurologists, these Elon Musks of this world, are getting carried away with themselves. And anyway, sustainability, we're not even solving the problems of today. Climate change is a reality. People are suffering from climate change. That's probably why the world's on the move to migration. We're polluting the oceans. We're killing wildlife. And Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. And he's already at 14, I think. Very ambitious. So, on sustainability, you might say, again, it might be using artificial intelligence in the best possible way. And some people are saying, Western politicians are saying, prepare for war. And that's I've never heard that in my lifetime. And we're hearing from Putin that the willingness to use we're in scary times. Pakistan and India, it's their powers. Is it just a matter of time before somebody actually uses it? We saw what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. If you get a chance to go to the museum in Hiroshima and see what a nuclear bomb of 80 years ago, you have nuclear weapons at 100 times the rate of today. We would all be incinerated. That's the picture. Anyway, does that give you a bit of context? Yeah, I'm just sort of ad libbing around all of this, but you're going to prepare and hone your arguments to excite, thrill, entertain me, and make the day very enjoyable so that I'm not falling asleep. You droning on.
You're going to be fighting it, not going to.
But it's a lively, interesting, fun, and persuasive. Yeah, persuasive. You can disagree, but you don't have to be disagreeable. Universities are about anything. It's about people disagreeing. That's a good thing. But you don't have to disagree. And a totally different point of view, still like this. I'm going to sort of wind you up, let you go, but guys, go and do some reading and possibly even thinking about issues. Yes? MBA students
Guarda bene il nome di Cristina perché nella tua descrizione il cognome scusa non è corretto e il tempo scusa l'orario l'ho sbagliato. Grazie, scusami ancora Dani, scusa che sono super busy. No worries. I don't know if you upload the video as a campaign or if you can modify the text from your platform. So basically I got wrong time and double check if the surname of the girl, the guest is right. Because I realized that I got wrong the time. So we need to change basically the information on the description. Okay? I don't know if you can do it or if you have to upload another video. Okay, so this is the current one, upload the new one.
A little bit.
Sure, you don't just say that to get them.
No, it's not. For me, it's clear.
Not very.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Ciao Cristina.
Everybody's asking for it.
The class is finished. Yeah, I won.
Adiós.
Adiós, cariño mío.
Ciao.
Princesa de princesas.
No, thank you for this.
I hope you like it. I've got
Yeah,
the
a
same
lot.
one.
Thank you. Adiós, done, by the way.
I burned my face. If you touch my face, you can feel it. It's burned. It's the first time in my life I feel like
No, but I found it nice.
yeah, thank you.
Sorry, I'm here busy and
Work. I took a break. I spoke with students. I'm coming back Monday, today is Tuesday. I'm still not in the bus. I'm going to the office tomorrow, so but I'm delayed it so much. I have my child.
yeah, don't worry. Take your time. Because I'm traveling in July, so
So you're trying to organize everything now.
Yeah. I know I can't stop now.
No, I'm gonna start tomorrow. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of the day and start the week tomorrow and back to normal.
Yeah. Are you okay? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So next time you're gonna play me a Volcano and everything.
Yes, I love Lugano. This is where I want to. The whole Switzerland has been traveling all over. We've seen all the parts. I would like to go to my heart.
I
This is
know,
where I want to be.
because I'm
It's so close to home because it's the Italian part and it has.
yeah. No, it's
You know,
so
it's like
wonderful.
she's saying but that's very
Yeah, exactly. And it's nice. There is the lake, you can around, Casino, yeah. Exactly. I know because I found your family lives close to there.
So,
Yeah.
if I'll ever have, you know, I was thinking, I want to stay where I'm going.
Hi, where are you going? Where are you going? You go home now?
We finished.
No. I don't know. Maybe you don't like go home. You like eat something, coffee or whatever. No, go home.
Be careful.
I like you home.
And there's like this side of paradise there. You don't
No, I want to buy one.
exactly. No,
Yeah, I know exactly where I want to live now.
But I need to.
Where you go? Outside.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you outside?
Yeah, okay, take care, bye.
Are you?
And you?
What are you doing?
I
Nothing.
need to finish an email.
She done nothing.
I'm gonna come.
Bye, guys.
Bye, babe. See you on Thursday. No, Tuesday. Thursday.
I don't see anything.
You were able to put your
I used to go.
Puoi condividere.
these things have wardrobe malfunction. That's what we had some wardrobe malfunctions in sort of colleagues that you're in bed you've got a video. And then the next thing, her breast was going down very well with the guy. So again, I would say this is a wardrobe malfunction. It's rather unnecessary and it's spoiling my class.